Okay, it's early morning, 6:20 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, March 3rd, 2024. What have we done with our lives? Well, last night I went to an NXT house show for those pro wrestling fans here on One Pro Wrestling and Sports Fan YouTube channel or the Foreign Object, or even if you're my Facebook pal. You'll know that I'm a big pro wrestling enthusiast. If you're not into pro wrestling, you can feel free to watch along just for the morbid enjoyment of it. But for the pro wrestling fans, especially, there's a lot of stuff going on with wrestling. Tomorrow or today's basically pay-per-view. Sting's last match, a tag team match with Darby Allin against the Young Bucks. But last night I was able to go to this house show of NXT just about 40 minutes from where I live. And Jacksonville's a very big city. It's the biggest geographical city in the country. The place where they have these matches in Jacksonville, it's really off the beaten path. There is another venue that I go to pretty close to there, an art place called Bespoke House, where some of my artwork is hanging up these days. But the NXT Jacksonville experience is pretty fun. The venue is really convenient to get in and out of. I mean, once you drive the 40 minutes, the parking lot is never, I mean, it's been full, but I've never had a problem parking there. If it is ever full, there's another parking lot people could probably park in very close. And they always play the national anthem before the show. There's a lot of families that go to these NXT shows. The tickets are very reasonably priced. They're $10, general admission, 20 if you get a reserved seat in the first or second row, maybe at the third row as well. Usually I get the reserved seat just because I don't want to stand. And there was actually people tonight standing at the show, probably 450 people. I've in the audience. I've gone to these NXT shows since 2019. Took a couple of years off of the pandemic. I think I actually missed out because I think WWE started the shows again maybe in 2020 or 2021. And I didn't realize that for several months. So I think I missed out on maybe 3 or 4 shows. They don't come every month. It's more about 4 times a year, 3 or 4 times a year. And I believe that tonight's show was the first time this year that they were there. Maybe the second. Nope, I'm incorrect. It was December 10th, I want to say, of 2023. So this is their first time here in 2024 in Jacksonville, and like I said, well attended and actually really good matches. So tonight I'm going to read you the results, but I'm also going to just share with you some of my feelings about the show as it happened. The first thing that happened to me when I got there is there's somebody in my chair. You know, it's one of these situations where you get to a venue. Now you have to do this with movie tickets a lot. You have to reserve a seat at the movie theater. Some places, not all. But at the wrestling show, you know, someone's in your chair, and it's kind of like you get a little bit excited because it's like, am I going to have to fight for my seat? And I think I can handle myself. And it was just, you know, some scrub, some scallywag guy, some, you know, average schmuck who just happened to be in my chair. He blamed it on his friend. His friend and him had bought general admission, and his friend was trying to sneak him up into the front row, thinking that the correct person wouldn't come there. But here I came, and I got my seat, and good enough for me. There was no one in the seat next to me the whole night, and then a bunch of people. So whoever had the seat, I guess 18, did not show up, but everybody else showed up. Let's see. Yeah, it was good. I mean, the NXT shows in person, I've gone to several in different venues. I've gone to Gainesville. I've gone to one in Orlando. I kind of had a little a stint last summer when I was going to these different NXT shows in different parts of Florida just to see what it was like. And it was fun. Some of the venues were less comfortable than others. Some of the venues should have had AC but didn't. Florida, you know, even October and November, believe it or not, can be pretty hot and muggy. And but anyway, so one thing I did tonight, folks, is I took a lot of photographs, as I usually do, and I used some new editing software, for me anyway, to basically put together some little video clips for you. My buddy Tony Caramadre at Fat Tone Studio provided this song for me several years ago for another project, but I've kind of repurposed it for tonight's exhibition. But I am going to share with you some still photographs set to music, and let's see if I can get this thing going. So this will be our first match of the night. Now I'm trying to do 10 things at once as usual, folks. Let's see here. The first, I do have the live results over from lockresults.com. Used my results and a few other people, and then they put together all the stuff. I was providing them with some photographs and then some results. I didn't know all the names of these people for the NXT. There are a lot of new wrestlers, but these fine folks over at lockresults.com, they knew all the names, so good for them. If you do have live comments here, folks, feel free to chirp away. You might have to go to the actual YouTube page to throw in your comment for me to see them. But the first match is Joe Gacy versus Javier Bernal. Now, we've all seen Joe Gacy. He's been around for a while. I think he had a little bit of a call up to the main roster a few years ago, but he's been an NXT mainstay. Kind of has that Bray Wyatt thing going. I know that I think he did CCW, Combat Zone Wrestling, before coming over to NXT and WWE. Javier Bernal, I think he's new to me. I don't think I've seen him before, but I'm going to put together, I've already put it together. Now I'm just going to see if I can play it and also eliminate myself from the background. So let's check out about a minute's worth of photographs. Okay, folks, that was our first match, Joe Gacy versus Javier Bernal. In case you're wondering, they do not allow fans like myself or any other fan to take a videotape with your phones at these NXT shows. They announce it usually once a night. I didn't actually hear them announce it tonight, but I know that it's always in effect, because if they do catch you, videotaping the matches, they give you a friendly tap on the shoulder as a warning, and then I don't know what happens next if they take you to the back room and beat you up. Another interesting thing about these NXT house shows that I've discovered, there's this wrestler, he's a wrestler in training for NXT, but right now they've got him basically is the bathroom monitor, and nice guy. I don't want to embarrass him, but he's a good guy. But I've seen him have to do this for a few shows, and I don't know if this is what they're thinking, but for some reason the NXT team, they have all these young wrestlers who aren't even wrestling yet, and they have them, running security and doing, the wand of security, and one guy always seems to get the worst job. He gets that, curb your enthusiasm, nobody wants you here, bathroom guy, the bathroom attendant, the valet. So, I mean, every time somebody goes into the restroom, this poor sap has to go in there and kind of like stand around. I'm not even making this up, folks. So I feel bad for this guy. He's a nice guy. He's a big guy. I know that he's in training to be a wrestler. Like I said, I won't embarrass him by bringing up his name. It's not his fault that he's got this, bathroom monitor duty. But in any event, yeah. So that match, Joe Gacy versus Javier Bernal, I thought it was a decent match. I got some decent photographs. In case you're wondering, it took me a couple of hours to put that 1 minute fucking video. Anyone who edits, I hate editing. If there's anyone who wants to be an editor for this One Pro Wrestling and Sports Fan YouTube channel, let me know, because I hate editing. I'm not very good at it, but I was able to do that on my own, which I'm pretty proud of. I was able to put that little piece together using the still photographs. So, like I said, decent match, probably about a 10-minute match. And then we move forth. The second match of the night was Tyreek Igwe. See, some of these guys are totally new to me. Tyreek Igwe and Tyson DuPont against No Quarter Catch Crew, Damon Kemp and Miles Bourne. I'll be real honest with you folks. I don't know who the fuck is who in this match, but I did take pictures of it. On one of the teams, I think I just took I took pictures of one of the guys a lot more than the other guy. So for the tag team partner that I didn't get a lot of his pictures, I'm sure he won't care that much, but I'll apologize. Not that he's sitting here watching this thing. But let's check out this tag team match. It was decent. It was about 10, maybe 9 or 10 minutes long. And let's I gotta find it again. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, I enjoy doing this. Like I said, if I could just make these videos quicker, that's the hardest thing about doing this stuff online, folks. I mean, I have another project that I'm working on, one of my novels. As you know, I write novels. They're available through MikeMessier.com on Amazon, and you can support this channel, basically supporting me. When assholes say support this channel, support me. Fuck the channel. But anyway, let's go on. What did I think of that match? Well, that's John Gacy, by the way, as the background. I used one of the photographs from tonight for the background. This match was fine. I mean, these were some big guys. I mean, what I was really thinking a lot during this show, folks, I know that our buddy there, Vince Jr., is out of the WWE. A long time coming, many would say. I would probably say that too. I think Vince could have had a definitely, it's his own fault. He could have had a much smoother departure from his own company and cashed out and kept the respect of everybody. But, through his actions, through his failure to come through on his end for this NDA payment, the shadow or the cloud of Vince McMahon kind of lurks over us. But, tonight when you go to this show and there's 450 people standing around watching NXT, and like I said, a lot of people are bringing their little kids. A lot of people are having a good time, and people are pretty enthusiastic. So, I mean, the future of the WWE, I don't think is in peril. I think they're going to be fine. Now, that I'm not the biggest Vince fan or whatever, but I mean, I think it's good that pro wrestling has a future. Okay. Like I said, folks, if you happen to be watching this, I am live at 6:33 a.m. on March 3rd, 2024. You can comment. And if I'm not seeing your comment, it's probably because you're not commenting on the actual YouTube feed. So I encourage you to go to the YouTube feed and comment there. Let's move on to our third encounter of the night. Now, this is actually, I took photographs of all 10 matches. There was 10 matches on this show tonight, and I've only edited the photographs from the first 3 matches. So this will be our last 1 minute. This one's actually, I think, the best one I did. I'm getting better with these little photo montages, I think, in my opinion. I'll let you fine folks be the judge. Like I said, don't be afraid to comment. But let's check out this third match. It's the first ladies match of the night. And one good thing about these NXT shows, I think it's a good thing, is that there's a lot of women's wrestling matches on the show. I did say this about the Elimination Chamber last week. If you look at that Elimination Chamber show, there was only 4 matches on the pay-per-view. There was 1 match on the pre-show. 3 matches at the Elimination Chamber 2024 pay-per-view or live event, live premium event. 3 of the 5 matches were women's matches, which in my memory is the first time on a show that featured both women's and men's matches. There was more women's matches on the show as far as a premium live event or a pay-per-view, not including the all women's wrestling show. But whenever there's been women and men competing on the same show, I think that's the first time ever that there's been more women's matches than men's matches. Just a fun little stat and fact. But let's check out this one. This is one of these Chase U alumni. I'm not sure if she's still in Chase U. I think she might have left. But Thea Hale, and I like that gimmick. I'll get into that one later. Thea Hale took on Ariana Grace, who kind of does this pageant winner thing, kind of like she's her own pageant winner. So let me find my little video for that. Wow, exciting. Yeah, so I thought that they had a pretty good match there. I thought it was that Thea Hale is actually very talented. She kind of reminds me of who was that lady in TNA wrestling? God, the name is slipping me. She used to fight with Awesome Kong. She was kind of a short blonde number, and around the 2005 Taylor Wilde, was that it? Taylor Wilde, and I didn't even Google it yet. It was Taylor Wilde. I'm right. So if you remember Taylor Wilde, this Thea Hale, I mean, looks like she could be her replicant or her daughter or something. Because Thea Hale reminds me a whole lot of Taylor Wilde. I wonder how she's doing these days, Taylor. But in any event, it was a decent enough match. I mean, I think there was a few ladies tonight that really got some good heat from the audience. Ariana Grace was one of them, and the next match was actually the other set, so I'll get to them in a second. But basically, Ariana comes out there. She's got this whole pageant gimmick going. She gets the fans kind of worked up, and then Thea Hale comes out, gets a nice round of applause, and they have their match. And Thea Hale wins, and then after the match, Ariana Grace is kind of, she asks for the microphone. She's mouthed it up again. And out of nowhere comes Gigi Dolan, the former, what she used to be called? She used to be called, Priscilla something or other. She used to be, wasn't she engaged to Darby Allin? And isn't she the wrestler, the women's wrestler in the tampon controversy a few years ago? I got to look up her name as well. God in heaven, all these wrestlers, Gigi, what the hell? Gigi Dolan, her name was like Priscilla, something like that. She did the tampon gimmick. Priscilla Lee Kelly. Yeah. So Gigi Dolan, formerly Priscilla Lee Kelly, she made an appearance. She did not have a match officially, but she came out and she attacked Thea. And you know what? I think I've seen Gigi do that at a couple of times at house shows where she'll just make these run-ins at these NXT house shows. I think she was doing that with JC Jane a couple of years ago or a year ago. So anyway, so that's the last of the photos, folks. So now you're just going to have to hear me talk for a few minutes. I'll give you the rest of my thoughts on this show. Like I said, an enjoyable show, 10 big matches. A lot of the wrestlers, I think, tonight really put some good wrestling out there. They didn't just cash it in. The next match, once again, was women, Fallon Henley and Ren Sinclair. defeated JC Jane and Jasmine Nix, which was, it was a good match. This was not the one I was thinking of because there was two women's tag team matches on this show. I'll have to count all the women's matches, but right now we've got two men's matches and two women's matches. In this one, Fallon Henley and Ren Sinclair defeated JC Jane, who's actually a personal favorite of mine, and Jasmine Nix. I think JC Jane, in my book, should be on the SmackDown or Raw a year ago. I don't see why they're holding her off. I believe that WWE has found some type of television home or some type of streaming home for NXT, and maybe they want to keep some of their NXT people separate from the SmackDown and Raw rosters is all I can think of. But JC Jane to me is just as good as anybody else. I'd really like to see her on the main roster for WWE. I think she's flirted up there a few times. I think there was a point where Chelsea Green needed a new partner, and she ended up going with Piper Niven. But I was kind of hoping she'd go with JC Jane. The next match, Tavian Heights. So that was an upset for me, folks. Fallon Henley and Ren Sinclair, the babyface women's team. I do have photos of this. I'll get them edited, and in the days and weeks to come, you can follow me on One Pro Wrestling and Sports Fan YouTube channel. Did have a nice, interesting exchange tonight with some interesting person somewhere who basically accused me of not being myself, which is an interesting accusation. I guess I should take it as a compliment. They thought that my picture of myself, my selfie, was such a good picture that they didn't think that I was actually the guy in the picture. Like the guy in the picture was some world famous actor or model or so forth. So I appreciate the compliment, whoever the fuck you are, but it is me. I'm just a regular asshole like you. Except I actually use my own face for my profile picture on Twitter. I don't use a AI of a video game character because I don't play video games anymore. I do watch wrestling, but I don't play video games. That's the extent of my maturity. Okay, so now let's move on. Then we had a 6-man tag. I don't watch the NXT shows every week, folks, so you can tell me in the comments if I'm missing something. But this was, to me, a hodgepodge, like kind of a double babyface team match. Ridge Holland, who I believe is the guy that broke Big E's neck, and I was tempted to kind of call that out, like Big E's neck, and just to get him upset, but I didn't. I was a nice guy. Ridge, and maybe they'd throw me out. Who knows? Ridge Holland, Axiom, and Nathan Fraser, not to be confused with Plowboy Fraser from Memphis 40 years ago, defeated Chase U, Andre Chase, Duke Hudson, and Riley Osborne. So I think one of these Chase U guys, I guess it was Riley Osborne, seemed new to me. But I do like the Chase U gimmick. I think that's gimmick is great. And then I believe it's Andre Chase is the leader of the group, like the teacher or whatever the fuck, the leader of the dormitory. He's so non-wrestler looking. Like he really does not have an impressive physique. I mean, if anything, he's got like a Mike Rotundo IRS era physique. But not even as big because Mike Rotundo was 6'4". This guy, he looks like he's 6'2", but he wrestles in that sweater and he kind of is deceptively athletic. Like I really think that guy is good. That Andre Chase, when you see him in person, because I've seen this guy at these NXT house shows, he's had 20 or 30-minute matches, and he's very good. So I was a little surprised that the Chase U lost. I mean, you would think that the 6-man team, that is a 6-man team, would win, but they didn't. They lost. Then we had a nice intermission, folks. I was able to go to my car. I charged my phone for about 5 minutes, which helped a lot. I mean, if you're going to go to these things, it's like one of those deals where I have one of those little charger machines, those little boxes that you bring around, the little charge box, but you never bring it. You never have it, or you never have the cord, or the fucking thing is never charged when you want it to be charged. You know what I mean? So it's like just another ass in your hole to fucking deal with. We come back from intermission, and actually the fans were really into this one. Lash Legend versus Carmen Petrovic. I do have a really cute video on this channel somewhere on the shorts of the NXT Women's Halloween Battle Royal where Carmen Petrovic did her Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle gimmick. But she goes out there with Lash Legend. The fans were into it. Lash Legend, I've been saying, they're putting all this money and all this excitement towards Jade Cargill. What's the difference with her and Lash Legend? I mean, Lash Legend is probably a better wrestler, and maybe she's not as big or as cut. I mean, she's pretty big and she's pretty cut. But I mean, in this WWE world where aesthetics are such a big deal, maybe Jade has the advantage, but it's not a fashion show, it's a wrestling show. But towards that end, a lot of times tonight, folks, I was thinking, some of these wrestlers, even in NXT, I think that some of them are just fine, but you can tell the ones that Vince in particular wouldn't care for. Of course, Vince is not there anymore, so we'll see what happens. But Lash Legend did get the victory over Carmen Petrovic. The fans were really into this one. This match did have some length to it, maybe 10 or 12 minutes by my memory. The next match was kind of interesting. Basically, Lash Legend took the microphone. She said that her, male buddy, who I guess is Oro Mensa, he's putting out an open challenge. He'll beat any sucker in the back. So out comes Channing Stacks Lorenzo, who's kind of like this Italian young boy. Channing Stacks defeated Ora Mensa. A lot of these people, I just don't know who the fuck they are because I don't watch the weekly NXT shows. I could go because they are in Orlando for the TV tapings, and I don't know. It's just there's some circumstances with going to those shows. You're not allowed to park your car at the venue. You have to get picked up by a commuter rail or a bus or someone in a rickshaw or something. So I haven't gone yet. But the next match that I experienced last night, and like I said, folks, this is now we're after intermission. It's a pretty jacked up show. I mean, there was 6 matches before intermission. The 7th match, the 8th match, kind of back to back. Now the 9th match is where we saw these women really do some nice crowd work. It was Lyra Valkyria, who's the NXT Women's Champion, and Tatum Paxley taking on Kiana James and Izzy Dame. Once again, folks, the NXT name generator, some of these names. Kiana James, I think she was a baby face, and she was kind of doing like this country girl gimmick. And if I'm not mistaken, is it Tatum Paxley was her former tag team partner? Were they some type of like country girl tag team? They split up. Kiana has like this purse, like this evil purse. That's her gimmick. Tatum's really cute. I mean, all these women are very attractive. Lyra Valkyria, I'm not sure what country she's from. Like if she's really not from the USA. Like I believe Carmen is not from the USA, but not just their characters, like the actual people. This match was decent. It was good enough. It was fun. I mean, like I said, a lot of these women wrestlers, I'm going to count the matches here because we've got on the first half of the show with the 6 matches, we had a women's singles match and a women's tag team match. And so that's 2 women's matches. And after intermission, we have Lash Legend. That's 3 women's matches. This was the 4th match, another women's tag. So we basically had 6-4 split. We had 6 men's matches, and we had 6 women's matches and 4. God damn it! We had 4 women's matches and 6 men's matches. It's 6:48 in the morning, folks, and I haven't been to sleep, haven't gone to bed, haven't gone to sleep. We're in the bed. But what happened next? The NXT title match happened. I can't even say this guy's name. Dragunov versus Tony D'Angelo. Tony D'Angelo doing that Italian, Godfather gimmick. I guess this was really a double babyface match once again. I mean, the fans seem to be cheering for both guys. Dragunov, to me, it kind of just reminded me of like, the Bryan Danielson thing or Daniel Bryan. Like, this guy is not a guy that Vince would like, because he's smaller. He's maybe 5'8", 5'9", 210 pounds, maybe, Dragunov. But a guy like Triple H does like a guy like this, we think, anyway. But basically, these guys went at it for a while. D'Angelo's a bigger guy. He's not in the best of shape, but he can go. And they went for about 30 minutes, and it was a good match. A lot of head takedowns, just a nice, good effort from both guys. Not a little chicanery until Carmelo Hayes comes in. Carmelo Hayes comes in. First, I think he attacked Tony D'Angelo first. I think Tony D'Angelo was down. Dragunov was going for like the Van Daminator type of thing, but there was no chair there. And Carmelo Hayes comes in, shoves him off the top rope. I believe Dragunov just kind of fell off the top rope, hurt himself. And Carmelo starts attacking the other guy, D'Angelo, and then Dragunov gets up, goes after Carmelo. Both D'Angelo and Dragunov are attacking Carmelo, and from all accounts, that was the end of it. I would say it was a no contest. I really was just getting up to leave at this point, folks. I had enough of NXT. But they started to do the thing with Dragunov grabbing the ring mic and basically doing the "Hey brother, Tony D'Angelo, our match tonight got interrupted, but after Tuesdays, whatever the fuck, you and I will have a match and blah blah blah." So I didn't need to really stick around for the bro speech. I kind of got the point. Basically, these guys went 30 minutes, which is really long for an NXT show, house show especially. I was going to mention earlier in that 6-man tag before the break, Ridge Holland, Axiom, and Nathan Frazier. I want to say it was the Riley Osborne was like doing some suicide planches, like basically the top rope thing where you flip off onto the guy. In the crowd, which I've never really seen them do a whole lot of those at NXT house shows. The female ring announcer tonight was really good. She had a nice voice. She seemed to. But she was kind of flinching a few times at these top rope adventures. Maybe this wrestling stuff is new to her, but she was good at her job. I didn't catch her name. So there you go, folks. Like I said, these fine folks on Twitter or whatever the fuck, they did, share my results, locksresults.com. I guess that's their thing. Hopefully they do look like they have some, advertisements on their website. But it looks like they take this stuff very seriously as far as having match results. And I believe it's, oh, that's nice. Yeah, it looks good. WrestlingBodySlam.com. That's what I saw them on. Oh boy. So it looks like they have a whole little world going on. They've got an open letter to Tony Khan dated February 11th, 2023. It's funny. I'm not, I don't know about these guys. Wrestling Body Slam. It could be two 14-year-olds who are, just very good with the internet. It could be two 50-year-old guys. Who the fuck knows? You know what I mean? It's just interesting to me. Look, people take our wrestling seriously. I take wrestling seriously. In my own life, I can say that I've taken it too seriously at times. I had a job interview for the WWE. I've told that sob story many a time, how the company would have been better off with me instead of without me. But whatever the fuck. We go to the wrestling. We see what happens. You know what I mean? We can't control the company. And, it's good that this next generation of fans have something to cheer for. So overall tonight, I was pretty impressed. As far as these NXT show goes, I mean, if I was just going to compare this NXT house show experience to other house show experiences, the fact that I just had to drive 40 minutes to another part of Jacksonville, I didn't have to drive to Gainesville or fucking Orlando or whatever the fuck. The venue was comfortable enough. I think paying the extra $10 for the better seat is a good idea, and I had a good time. So nobody got hurt. Let's put it that way. And, someone was in my chair when I got there. When I pointed out my ticket, he got up and left. And so there was no altercation. One thing about some of these NXT house shows, and tonight was not the exception, that Jacksonville, for whatever reason, no longer sells concessions. They used to sell soda. They used to sell pizza slices pretty cheaply too, affordable, and for whatever reason, no concessions. So when I got to the venue, some guy was very upset because he wanted to buy a soda, and he was so offended and pissed off that he couldn't buy a soda, which seems to make sense. I mean, it does seem a little inhumane that you go to a 2.5-hour sporting event or wrestling event and you can't buy a fucking soda or a hot dog. So, I mean, I don't know what's going on with NXT. Would it kill them to have a fucking food truck outside? I mean, maybe I'll make some phone calls. Maybe I'll make some things happen. I'll solve another situation for the world like I always do. But, it was a good show. It was fine. out of the 5 stars, if you're going to give like the whole show, I would actually give it like 4 stars. I would say that this was a pretty strong NXT experience. Like the matches were actually quite good. There was a little bit of the lights were kind of flickering at times, which it wasn't a gimmick, but I thought we had a fun time. So, One Pro Wrestling and Sports Fan YouTube channel. Yes, this is me, person on Twitter. I'm actually the guy. I mean, this person was so convinced that I wasn't myself that I was like, okay, you know what? Watch one of my goddamn videos on One Man in a Camera Films. Let's see if this fuck said anything back to me. Jesus fuck. Um, just you're always going to deal with assholes. Another funny thing I saw with wrestling is there was this meme of Donald Trump slapping Vince McMahon with Steve Austin from like a 2007 promo for WrestleMania that year. I think it was WrestleMania 23 when Trump slaps Vince in a press conference and Austin's there. And people were kind of pointing, oh my God, this was so awesome. Donald Trump slapping Vince McMahon. But did you see that it was actually Ashley Massaro in the background? So anyway, folks, that's it. That's your buddy Mike Messier, One Pro Wrestling and Sports Fan YouTube channel, MikeMessier.com. I'm on Facebook as Mikey Messier. It's really me. It really is. Go to Amazon and buy all my books, or just go to MikeMessier.com, scroll down by the books. If you see this on the replay, Luthez or whoever the knots, leave a comment, leave a message. Thanks for everyone that's been commenting and messaging. Don't be afraid to share the URL, and that's it. It's your buddy Mike Messier with your Jacksonville NXT report.